In a bleak and dismal swamp, hidden beneath its murky waters, lies the headquarters of the most sinister villains of all time, the Legion of Doom.
Ooh. Hey everybody, welcome to the Brave and the Boys show. We have a very special guest. I think I first asked if you would be a guest like months ago before we even knew each other. And then it took many months of us actually becoming internet friends for me to get you to agree to this. But we have the world famous BJ Kicks from Comics Are Dope and several other channels.
The world famous. Yeah, I'm the Brave and he's the boy. Welcome to the Brave and the Boys.
Yeah, dude, thanks for doing this, man. I'm excited. How's your year been? So you made a video recently for some New Year's collecting resolutions. How have you been sticking to those resolutions? Let's say what they were, and let's see how we've been sticking to them. We're a month in.
Do I remember all my resolutions?
It's okay. You can give us one.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is leaving FOMO behind, and I've pretty much left FOMO behind because I also left money in 2023. So you know, it's easy to not buy books when you don't have money to buy books.
Oh, that's true.
Other things like just not being intimidated to start runs or like pick up books. Haven't really gotten a chance to. I've been diving into like a bunch of like books for Black History Month. Like I'm reading the King comics biography right now. After that, I gotta read Watchmen #1. I did the FOMO thing actually. So I didn't do all that great of my resolution because I absolutely bought this. So somebody suggested that I read Watchmen over a year. And I was like, oh, that's a good idea. I'll just read it one issue at a time. But I've got Watchmen in a thick trade. So I was like, okay, that's how I'll read it. But when everybody was saying, oh, there's this set at Ollie's for like $26, I'm like, yo, that's an amazing deal. And suddenly I became obsessed with the idea of reading these one at a time, like in just, you know, with these books.
They're
so
gorgeous, dude.
I bought this box set. I was pleasantly surprised, even though I had to pay more than the $26. I had to pay somebody to ship it on eBay to find out that these are oversized. So actually issue 1 is not in the box set. It's in my backpack because I actually take it with me places. So I'm reading that before the month's over. So reading books and reviewing more. I've been interviewing a lot of people, and that's also a New Year's resolution I had, was to get over my imposter syndrome and start acting like a real member of the comics press. So
I mean, you are though. I mean, you're approaching almost like 10,000 like subscribers, and that's sizable, man. Like you have a good voice. You've also cultivated a good community. So I feel like your creator interviews are awesome. Was there a creator interview like that you've done that was like the most impactful or most surreal for you? Because like I feel like sometimes like I haven't done too many, but there's still moments when I've done a creator interview where I'm like, oh my god, this is really happening. Because you know, but it's like sometimes it can be surreal, man. Was there one that stood out to you?
Yeah. So when I started all this, I had like a bucket list of interviews. One of the names on that list, I want to interview Dennis Cowan again. But the other name was Christopher Priest. And that was like
which
this long shot name. Right. So I got to interview him and we talked for like 3 hours, which is way longer than I expected to talk. And I think like, I mean, I'm probably biased, but I've heard a lot of Priest interviews, and my interview with Priest is my favorite interview with Priest.
That's awesome, man.
But you know, that meant a lot. Just the rapport we were able to build over that call was really cool.
Yeah. You don't do them live, right? Because I feel like I did when we did like me and Just did Mike Allred recently did live, and it's like I almost kind of feel like if I get into the world of doing creator interviews, I wouldn't do them live anymore because it just seems so distracting. You know, it feels like it would take away from the moment.
Yeah, I don't do them live because of the chat. Is mostly why I don't do them live, because I will get distracted. I'll start asking questions just because they're in the chat. We'll get sidetracked. But the other thing though is I envision my interviews really only existing in audio, like the way I release them. Most people don't see the video. So what I want is something that you can listen to on your commute and just kind of be engrossed in. And if it's just a bunch of like, oh, this person says this and that person says that, it doesn't make for like the most timeless type of
Yeah,
conversation.
you're right. It's more of a fleeting thing. But for this, we're excited to have the chat. We got Valzad. What's up, guys? Was that a classic segue? Was that good?
Great. No, what's up, Valzai? Valzai used to be in our chats at the Hangout.
We got Bunkmaster B, the also world famous. He's the one who helped me get my Watchmen collector set.
Nice.
So he got me two versions, one for me, sorry, not two of them, one for me and one for my friend Jordan. And he got me the Wonder Woman by Brian Azzarello Absolute.
Nice.
And we traded, instead of paying for shipping, I traded him some thumbnails.
Nice.
So that was, look at me bartering for my craft, right? Bunk, who does that make Jordan Charles Barkley? So was that a sports reference? Do we have a 92 or 96 version?
92 or 96 dream team. It's got to be 92 Barcelona. Like that's the only dream team that matters, right? And yeah, I'm absolutely Michael Jordan. So I don't know, Jake.
I'd be the mascot on the side, hyping everybody up.
Oh, you're Christian Laettner. Is that what you're saying?
Is that what the mascot's name? See, I'm a mascot in high school, and nobody knew who my name was. I was just Wolfie, the wolf. No one who was under the mask. So when's my story going to get told?
So quick bit of sports history, right? The 92 dream team was to get the USA basketball out of a slump, right? For a very long time, the Olympics were for amateurs. So you would get a bunch of college players playing in the Olympics. 92, they changed the rules so that pro players could play in the Olympics. And so you get like the most ridiculous all-star team of NBA players, Magic, Bird, Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley. I think Ewing was on that team. There's an insane amount of talent. Nice. And Christian Laettner, who was playing for Duke at the time. So that was my way to get in a dig at Duke, since I'm a Carolina fan.
I mean, you know what? Because we're doing the stream together, I'm a Carolina fan. I have no dog in the race. But that's awesome, man. So I guess one of my questions is like, when I see you consistently pump out like your comic, that the individual issues you buy each week, and like what you're picking up that week, like how do you balance reading collected editions and single issue? Because I feel like YouTube makes you niche into like a really specific niche, but like how have you found a time to balance both? Like, is there one that you prefer?
I'm not balanced. I read mostly single issues still. I make it a point to collect the trades or like, hardcovers that I wanted to have, like all the grails or whatever. I think we've gotten out of the period for me where there's like a bunch of stuff that I'm dying to see collected. Most of the stuff that I really wanted when I got into the hobby a few years ago has been reprinted and I own. There are a few things that I've missed out on, a few things I don't have, but I'm pretty satisfied with where my collection is. So now Christian's mom does not like Christian Laettner. No, I'm joking. But yeah, I mean, I got Batman Eternal. That was like such a whale. All the Ultimate
Spider-Man stuff. I was glad that I didn't, because I used to be known as buying out of print books because I was young and dumb, and then books,
like
but nothing. Okay, you know what? I actually don't remember what the last out of print book was that I bought, but I haven't bought an out of print book this year.
Well, that's good.
It's also February, so.
Right. There's still time, but nah. So, yeah, as far as my reading, I probably read 90% single issues, because I just like staying up current on what's happening. One of the mainstays of my channel is the pull list, and I'm one of like 5 people I know that does like weekly, here's what's coming out stuff. So, I try to stay up as current as possible. But I do like just kind of diving into a collected edition every now and then. I mostly kind of buy them as like a retirement plan or like if you come in, like the way I envision, like this is the library. This is the Comics Are Dope library. And I want anybody to be able to walk in here and point to any book on the shelf and like feel like it's the most amazing book for that character or among the most amazing. So
something definitive.
Yeah. So that's kind of how I feel. But there's also characters that I've realized I don't care about as much. I don't have Jason Aaron's Thor Volume 2 because I haven't read Jason Aaron's Thor Volume 1. I probably should buy it, but nah.
See, I wish my brain worked like that, because like for me, like what I have that that FOMO like still of like, what if it goes out of print? But you're right, it could come back, you know. But it's weird. It's a double-edged sword where I tell myself, oh, I don't want to start Jason Aaron's Thor #1 until I have #2. And then so it's a weird double-edged sword.
Yeah, I call that encyclopedia syndrome.
Ah.
And I have that as well. There's a lot of books in here that I bought because I felt like I needed to read that before I could read the comic that was already in my hand. But you know what really helped with it, honestly? Not having money to spend on comics 1 month and just breaking the habit was really all it took to not just like go crazy and buy stuff immediately, like all the time.
Don't worry, you did not miss much. We're still just getting started. He was about to start giving us a list of the characters he doesn't care about anymore. So we got Thor. He doesn't care about Thor. Who else can we slam?
I'm not buying any more Star Wars Legends. I'll keep buying in continuity Star Wars.
Nice.
I don't need any more Dark Horse Star Wars, and I'm probably going to sell what I have. And then that's probably it. I don't need any more Peter Parker Spider-Man. I'm going to collect Ultimate, but I've got Roger Stern, I've got Michelini and McFarlane, and I've got JMS, right? And that's probably where my Peter Parker is going to stop.
Yeah. I'm not the biggest Spider-Man fan because, I skew much more DC, but for me, I think I'm happy mostly with like the Ultimate Spider-Mans, We got a Fifth of Jack in the chat who just changed his code to something I don't even know if I can say on air. So shouts out to what his new OPB code is that I came up with.
Well, good luck with that.
Yeah. And if you are fighting FOMO with the Rat Queens Omnibus, you can get it from OPB and use my code, save $2 with code Brave Boys. I'm trying to work on my segues, right?
If it helps with the FOMO, the Rat Queens has a weirdly flat spine for how big the book is, but I've never read Rat Queens. I just noticed that when I saw it at the LCS yesterday.
I heard the name and I just go, oh, that's a Mitch book. Like
he does have a thing for rodents.
Not just rodents, any kind of like anamorphized or like humanized animal, I feel like is like Mitch's thing. Like
yes. Yeah, no, that's true. Ninja Turtles, Usagi, Mouse Guard, Ratatouille. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Richard keeps asking, so I'm going to answer him. Richard Fearing says, BJ, what are your thoughts on the Ultimate Universe?
I do want to know this because it's hard being on the outside of the new issues and being like, I want to know what's going on, but then also like I have years to catch up on.
You got plenty to read, right? Yeah, no, it's really dope so far. So I didn't read the Ultimate Universe one shot, and I didn't read the Ultimate Invasion sort of lead-in miniseries because that had a $10 issue 1. Ooh. But Ultimate Spider-Man by Hickman, best single issue I've read this year, I think. I might have to refresh my memory, but I'm pretty sure that's the best single issue I've read this year.
Oh, you said it on the internet now, so it's going to be remembered forever. Someday when you say you like something better this year, they're going to send you clips of it.
Yeah, like Ultimate Black Panther #1 just came out yesterday. It's really good too.
I heard that sold out like right away.
Everything sold out because they didn't order enough of them, but they ordered significantly less Black Panther than they did Ultimate Spider-Man, and that one sold out. And because Ultimate Spider-Man sold out, the spec for Ultimate Black Panther went even higher and crazier. Lucky for me, I pre-ordered both, so I have both. I'm kind of mad I didn't buy 2 because then I could have paid
10.
I could have paid for like my month's worth of comics with just 2 books.
It would have been great if when we joined this stream, your entire back wall was just covered with issues of Ultimate Black Panther that you were just stockpiling.
Yeah, somebody would have my head. But so the Ultimate Black Panther, I thought was like a step below. I actually just posted my review on the community tab. I thought it was a step below Ultimate Spider-Man. I think Ultimate Spider-Man just did a really good job of just sort of flipping everything you could think about Spider-Man. Ultimate Black Panther felt very familiar, but it felt good because Black Panther in 616 has kind of sucked for the last 2 years, maybe even longer than that. It felt like the sort of jolt of energy that you need as a Black Panther fan. but it didn't feel like it was anything that couldn't be in main continuity besides two very like obvious flips of the mythos. So those
Nice,
are my
man.
thoughts. Great stuff so far. Best stuff at Marvel right now, in my opinion, until they reboot X-Men, and maybe that'll be good.
There's also supposed to be an Ultimate X-Men coming back out, right? Like I think I heard someone talking about that.
Yeah, that's Peach Momoko. I've heard it also Momoko, whichever way you pronounce it. That's coming out. I'm probably the least excited about that. In fact, I didn't pre-order Ultimate X-Men because I read like the Demon Days stuff or like one issue of it. It just wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
But they have piqued my interest. They're giving Storm like a new sort of protege type character in
That could be
Ultimate
fun.
X-Men. So I'm gonna check out issue 1, but I don't know if I'm gonna vibe with it the way I vibe with the other Ultimate stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense if it's not really your thing. I feel like your start with DC, was your start with comics or was your start with DC Deceased?
Yeah, so my start with comics was House of X number 1. I won it at a local comic shop, like on a live stream or something. And so I went, picked it up, subscribed to the series, and that's what got me going to the comic shop every week.
Oh, they got you where they were like, hey, the first one's free, and then you got hooked.
Right. But that only happened because I took my daughter to a free comic book day event at the LCS. They had like fine artists and stuff there. So I'm like, oh, she likes to draw. This will be a cool thing to bring her to. And I just kept following the shop on social media. And that's how I kind of ended up in the loop. Got House of X, and House of X coming out every week is what really built the habit. I didn't realize comics didn't come out that often, and that House of X was really just like its sort of own huge event.
Yeah, you built that habit quickly. It wasn't like when I was collecting Doomsday Clock and it was like once every 2 months you got an issue.
Right. So it was very much like a right place, right time type thing for me. Plus my job at the time was like a half mile from another local shop. So yeah, but so I got into comics because of House of X Powers of 10, but my first collected edition my first hardcover was Deceased.
Nice. Okay.
Because I was buying a bunch of random Batman stuff. Like I had Batman Hush, I had Quarter Miles, I had bought in trade paperback. But my first hardcover was Deceased, and that's what kind of
started you down that journey.
A bunch of other DC stuff. So yeah.
So this is a good question. What else needs to be read other than Ultimate Invasions to get into the Ultimate books? I read all the original Ultimate series books as they're coming out. These aren't tied to the original Ultimate stuff, right? This is like a fresh vibe at it.
It is a fresh Ultimate universe. You don't really need to read anything. I think the more stuff is going on, the more you will want to read Ultimate Invasion, which was a 4-issue limited series that came out late last year. And then Ultimate Universe was a one-shot that has like the same trade dress style as all the other ones. So, and it's kind of just setting up like how this new Ultimate Universe comes into being. But each book, Ultimate Spider-Man has a data page kind of telling you pretty much everything you need to know. But if you just got to read something prior to, read Ultimate Invasion 1 through 4, and then the Ultimate Universe one shot that I have not read. And then you can read Ultimate Spider-Man or Black Panther or whichever.
Supposedly Diamond lost 12,000 copies of Ultimate Black Panther. Somebody's just sitting on 12,000 copies of that, right? Yeah, I feel like they fell off the truck.
Yeah. I don't know. My shop had a lot of damages for Ultimate Black Panther. And I think they ordered it through Penguin, not Diamond. But yeah, so
Batman Beyond was my first introduction to the DC Comics. Ooh, you might be excited for that compendium this year. Batman Animated Series was my first introduction to DC as a whole, and they just came out with a cool Omni of that. Mine was, I didn't realize when I was a kid that what I was watching was before my time, but the one cable channel that we had was Boomerang. So I grew up watching the Super Friends thinking that was like, I'm like a 90s kid watching 70s cartoons and not realizing like how it was cheesy or weird or whatever. Yeah. And then when they finally got Batman the Animated Series, it was like a whole new world for me. It was crazy.
Yeah, see, you're younger than me because I remember when Boomerang was just like a block on Cartoon Network before they spun it out into a new channel.
Yeah.
And we didn't have Boomerang. We had Cartoon Network. We didn't have Boomerang.
Okay. I
But
didn't have Cartoon Network, but I had Boomerang. So everyone else was like, wow, you have Boomerang? And I was like, I would trade it for Cartoon Network. But now I feel like it gave me a love of comics because like I wanted to dive into more worlds of that, you know?
yeah, yeah, no, it's funny because the Dynamite got the Hanna-Barbera or the Warner Brothers license, so they're
Yeah.
putting out a bunch of stuff. They just Thundercats #1 came out yesterday. The last page ad for Thundercats has revealed that David Pepose is writing a Space Ghost book. So
Oh, nice.
all that Hanna-Barbera stuff, like they're doing a Johnny Quest book later this year. Like
They did some cool DC stuff with it not too long ago, like maybe like 5 years ago at this point. Like
Future Quest.
yeah. But dude, those old cartoon like the other day, me and my wife woke up at like 4 a.m. and we couldn't get back to sleep. So I
Mhm.
found some YouTube video that was just like 3 hours of uncut Boomerang with the commercials.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I'm gonna show you some core memories of mine.
That's-
And it's just like a lot of those designs were like Alex Toth and were just
Yeah.
way better than they had any right to be.
Yeah.
I am very excited for the compendium. I have the Batman the Animated Series omnibus already. I mean, I feel like I read every Batman book in Kevin Conroy's voice, but that one especially.
Sure.
And I lucked out on that one. So I ordered it from OPB and then it said it arrived and it didn't arrive. And so I I was on vacation. It was when we were in Hawaii for the wedding. So when I get back, I'm like, hey man, I know this is like a week late, but like my box isn't here. And a few days later, a woman knocks on the door with my Omni and she goes, hey, this was out in front of my house. And like, because they sometimes put the address inside the box, she
Mhm.
had my address. So I'm like,
Nice.
that was such a crazy story.
It is crazy. Yeah, I bought Batman the Animated Omni. That's not the name of that book at all. Batman Adventures. I bought
The Batman Adventures omnibus. It
but-
should have been called Batman the Animated Omni. That's such a cooler name.
Let's print custom dust jackets.
Yeah.
The
So
Animated
we'll
Omni.
get Roy up in here. So have you ever taken a break? So I feel like you haven't read comics as long as say other people I've interviewed. So I usually like to ask them, was there a time you took a break from comics? If so, was it a life event or a story that was like, I can't do this anymore? And then I like to ask what brought you back. And it's usually Watchmen or The Dark Knight, have you ever taken a break?
People? That's what you're saying?
I mean, it's just Jess, Omni Dog.
Got it. But not no, I haven't stopped reading comics since I started. This has been my hobby of choice since 2019. It's pretty much replaced TV for me. Like
Mhm.
I have a TV, but mostly what I watch is YouTube.
My YouTube videos, right?
Sometimes
I'm just kidding.
a lot of time. I watch cooking videos most of the time.
Nice.
But yeah, so I haven't stopped reading comics yet. I definitely have slowed down my spending a bit.
Yeah.
But I haven't stopped reading.
I
And
want
now
to
with, like,
I want
Hoopla
to
and
say that
stuff-
I have, but like I just got the largest box I've ever gotten from OPB.
Yeah, the
But-
largest box I got from OPB was at least a year ago.
This one was remember how he gave us that deal on damaged ones?
Uh-huh.
My friend was like, "Hey, can you ask him if I can get that deal?" So it's 2 people's worth of the damage grab bags.
Got you.
Yeah.
I need to check with him and see if there's any more of that stuff left because I don't get paid till whenever YouTube pays me. 2 weeks. I got 2 weeks. I got to wait before I can buy a big damage box.
We just got our first last month was our first month getting money from YouTube, which was really
Nice.
fun. So I put my dollar, if you can see it, my dollars in a frame.
I wish I had thought to do that. I guess I could like just frame $1. Like who would
Do
know?
it, bro. Who cares? I hope you get more fanfare than I did. I asked the lady, I was like, hey, this is a special occasion. I've been working at YouTube for like over a year. Like, this is, I need $2. Please, like the crispest you can. And she like unwads like a ball of ones. And she's like, you get what you get. And she like, my friend's has a big old crease in the middle.
You were at a bank and they did that to you?
Okay, she didn't really pull them out of her pocket, but they were not crisp. She straight up said, you get what you get. And it was not the prettiest one. I wanted like something, I was like, I'll pay extra if I can get like something freshly printed. I don't know if it doesn't work that way.
You got to like print your first 100. Then that's when you got to like pull it out of the factory seal. Like, I don't know how you have new money all the time, but
Yeah.
you have it.
How does money work? That's a good question. Okay, so combining two of your hobbies, you're also really into shoes. What superhero do you think would have the sickest shoe collab?
Miles, and I'll show you.
Okay, well, that's in real life. Yeah, that makes sense. Kane, I liked Babish, and then I got burnt out on him for some reason.
This is Miles Morales, the second Miles collab. The other collab reminds me more of Peter. This is like Miles in the middle of a glitch. If you watch Across the Spider-Verse, he's literally wearing this shoe at one point.
That is super cool.
So that's my favorite comic and sneaker crossover.
So that's real. Is there a hypothetical one? Like, do you think if you were to just guess, this character would have the sickest shoe collab?
I'm trying to think. Virgil Hawkins is too much of a nerd. It would probably be Miles, like, even hypothetically.
That
He's
makes
from
sense.
Brooklyn. He walks everywhere. He already wears Jordans in the comic. You know he's got to have more than one pair. So
yeah, that makes sense. The Flash would just be some running shoe. It wouldn't be anything cool that you'd be like happy to show off, you know?
Right.
Um,
Although Monkey Prince, if you read Monkey Prince,
I bought Monkey Prince and said I was going to read it.
that almost counts.
Yeah.
But in issue 1, Monkey Prince, or the kid's name is Marcus, he's got this prized pair of Jordan 3s, and they are actually a super limited pair of Jordan 3s in real life, the Dornbecker 3s. So maybe Marcus has a dope sneaker collection, but you get the sense that that's like the only cool pair of sneakers he has.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That makes sense. So I feel like I know this, but maybe people watching don't know. Who are your favorite characters?
Batman. Bruce Wayne Batman is my favorite comic book character. My favorites to read currently, like I love Static. I like Miles a lot. John Stewart Green Lantern is another favorite. I like Wally West Flash, though I haven't read a ton of his.
Do you have a preferred Wally West, like the 52 Wally West or the pre?
All I've read of Wally West is the Jeremy Adams run, and I really enjoyed it. It made me want to go read more Wally West. Who else are my favorites? I still like Peter Parker.
My favorite interpretation was him in the second Miles movie, like him as a fat, like kind of chubby dad with a baby. That's why I'm excited for Ultimate. Is like that's the Peter I want to read. Like the editorial be damned, you know.
Yeah. But a lot of my favorites are like just nostalgia stuff, right? Like I love Ninja Turtles. I got a Ninja Turtles print in front of my face by Ken Lashley. Who else is around here? Black Panther. Like Black Panther's become one of my favorites over the years. There's a lot. I mean, Wolverine is my favorite of the X-Men, and then Storm is right after Wolverine for me.
Wolverine's the only one I collect now because I got super into the X-Men Omnis, and then I tried reading, and I guess what I messed up on was I started with the pre Claremont stuff, which you're not supposed to do, and I was like. Because I don't know, man. I don't make good choices. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to pay for my wedding. And I sold all my X-Men Omnis. And I just kept the Wolverine ones. Because I'm not like you. I can't have a volume 1 and not have a volume 2. And I knew that X-Men collecting was going to make me go crazy. So
when I
got it while I could.
When I started collecting Omnis, I told myself, I'm going to buy everything Batman and everything X-Men, which is the worst decision you could make financially. And I didn't know that.
That's a lot.
Omnis.
I would like to have everything Batman post-Crisis. Like, I don't need like 10 volumes of the Golden Age, 10 volumes of the Silver Age Batman.
And that's pretty much what I have. I wish I had bought those Cape Crusader and Dark Knight Detective trades.
I have the Cape Crusader ones, and then my friend has the Dark Knight Detective ones, so we can share.
Nice. No, I didn't buy them because they were trade paperbacks. I was on this like hardcover only thing when I first
I've been there, and yeah.
So if I had bought those, I would have all of post-crisis Batman because they've gotten up to Nightfall with those, or close to it, I want to say.
The one that I paid out of print prices for, which is the lamest one. I don't even like it, but it's the Second Chances trade paperback where he meets Jason, and I'm like, that is such a just him stealing his tires. I don't know. It's such a Such a I don't know. I don't know why I spent too much money on that one, but
I wish I owned that. But yeah, trying to collect everything Batman is crazy because they put out a million Batman books every week.
and you can never catch up. Yeah, because by the time you buy some previous ones, yeah.
And then X-Men is the same thing. They put out so much X-Men stuff. So I decided I'm only collecting Claremont up until, the end of that Jim Lee run.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll be it for my X-Men collection, unless there's just something I really like. And then for Batman, I'm probably still buying everything Batman that I see.
Yeah.
Because he's like my absolute favorite character. But yeah.
Do you have like what are some of your favorite Batman storylines?
So
I don't know. I feel this, man. As a Batman collector, our wallets.
yeah, man, it's crazy. Oh, what's up, Jade? Jade bought Justice League Dark from me. So,
oh, nice. That's actually the Justice League Dark Omnibus.
Mm-hmm.
I
might be getting Jade confused. There's two. Anyway, I'm pretty sure.
I'm more excited for the Rebirth Omni. I thought the Rebirth run was better.
Yeah, I don't do like horror books, and I didn't realize how horrific Justice League Dark is. So
yeah,
it was one of those books that just sat on my shelf forever. I decided to just thumb through it one day, and then I was like, I'm never going to read this. So I sold it.
Speaking of non-dark comics, I was going to ask you. So I was raised and in a religious family, so like I had a lot of Christian movies and TV shows. Did you have like Bible Man and like Larry Boy or Larry Man, like the Batman Veggie Tale? Like, or was that before or was that after your time?
So no, I saw both. Like I grew up. I mean, I say I grew up Christian. I'm still Christian.
Yeah, I mean, you're
funny
aren't
enough,
you a pastor, right?
Yeah, well, I'm a youth
pastor.
group leader. So I just say youth pastor because people digest that a little bit easier.
Yeah.
But basically, yeah, there was a period where like the church I went to, there was a Christian bookstore that was started at my church and then eventually moved to a brick and mortar location. Mm-hmm. And that's when I first saw like Bible comics. Like they had the Action Bible and Bible Man and like Larry Boy comic books. I never bought any of them, but they looked cool. I remember wanting them, but I never had them. And now they had a Bible Man TV show. My kids watch it.
Yeah, I watched the video. So my question as a joke was going to be, who would be your dream creator duo team for Bible Man? If there was a Bible Man maxi series coming out, you could choose any creator and artist, but obviously you never watched it. So
who would write give me Priest on Bible Man just because Priest was also a pastor at one point?
Oh, did you learn that in your interview or did you know that before?
I knew it before, but yeah, give me Priest on Bible Man. And then who do I want drawing it? Give me Priest and Doc Bright on Bible Man. Just to give us one last team up of Priest and Doc Bright. Yeah. That'd be funny.
I actually got the Action Bible hardcover last Christmas. You did a video, I think, right? On like the best Bible comic, right? Or
I did a review of the Kingstone Bible, which in my opinion is the best comic Bible I've seen. It's a 3-volume set, but now they've split it into like 7 hardcovers. But yeah, it's the Bible in chronological order. It's not exactly like verse for verse. Well, it's mostly verse for verse, or at least story for story, right? Like the Gospels, for example, you don't have to read about the birth of Jesus 4 times in the Kingstone Bible.
How do they handle the parts where it's just like when they're just like listing off like genealogy? Like, did they just skip that stuff? Like, because that'd be a really boring comic if it's just like so and so was the father of so and so.
Let's find it.
Ooh, exclusive first look.
This will be like the 3rd look. But
yeah, thank you, James, for dropping that. Comics are dope. Best comic Bible.
Yeah, that's actually like one of my top performing videos on the channel. I think it's like number 3.
See, I think I have your YouTube open. It is number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's number 7.
Nice. That means I've gotten some better performing videos lately. Yeah,
it's interesting that your most popular are seem to be educational usually.
Yes. That because over time, like people are searching for, what are the best Batman stories or this and that. Oh, I haven't gotten to the Gospels yet. They just got to the Prophets. I should have grabbed volume 3. Yeah, I think they like really like briefly touch on genealogy, but it's not. They don't dwell on it. I didn't know they had an app.
Oh, that's cool.
It was the Kingstone Comics app.
Is it? Hey, but also it's probably on Hoopla, right? Bunk, let me know if the King James Bible, Action Bible, is on Hoopla.
I doubt that. But yeah, thank you, Jade. Jade says the priest interview was good. I appreciate that. But yeah, so what were we talking? How do we get on the Bible?
I don't know, man. We were talking about, I asked you what Batman stories you liked, and then I think we got distracted.
Yeah. Oh, because you
said
for
you
a team like Bible team up something.
Yeah, it's okay.
The Batman stories I like. My favorite omnibus is a Jeff Loeb, Tim Sale omnibus.
That is my all-time favorite Batman story. I have the Omnis and the Absolutes and the trade paperbacks. But I said no to the deluxes because the names were too ridiculous. Have you seen the names of them for the deluxe edition?
It's like the Long Halloween, and then there's the Long Halloween Dark Knight, and then
so the deluxe. Hold on, let me pull it up. Because they all have the Long Halloween in the name,
right?
But so Catwoman, for instance, is Batman, the Long Halloween, Catwoman, When in Rome Deluxe Edition. And I just felt like
that's your reason for not triple dipping as
quadruple dipping.
I already own the story in 3 other formats.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not smart, man, but I actually, funny enough, we're trying to if everyone has TikTok, go subscribe to Organic Price Books on TikTok. We're trying to start doing more TikTok for them. And we're doing that, like you saw that TikTok trend where it's like, we're comic collectors, and then you say something that's like an inherent truth. But I took a clip of me with all 3 crises that I have or formats, and I'm like, I need the same story in 3 different formats. Wow, the Kingstone Bible is on Hoopla.
That's crazy. Maybe I'll actually read it now. It just sits on my shelf, and I kind of forget about it, like most of my collected editions. What's up, Tyler?
Hello, Tyler.
But yeah, so favorite stories. I really like Batman Ego.
I actually just got that deluxe edition. I haven't read it yet.
It's really good.
I really wanted in the deluxe edition because it had Selena's big score and some of the other Darwin Cook stuff.
Yeah, no, that's a really good one. Was it Ego? Year 1, Court of Owls is really good. I like Hush. Like, I'm nostalgic for Hush, although I admit the Long Halloween is better. Like,
how did you collect it? Do you have the Omni, or do you have the Absolute or a deluxe edition or something?
Of Hush?
Yeah.
Hush, I have the 15th anniversary deluxe. I didn't upgrade to the 20th anniversary because 20th anniversary was standard size for some reason.
Oh, yeah. They've been doing that lately.
Yeah, and I didn't buy the Hush omnibus because I already owned.
You have the Paul Dini one also, right?
Yeah. Right. I owned Batman by Paul Dini, and I owned Hush. So I'm like, I'm fine skipping that story. On a limited budget, there's no reason to buy that book. But yeah, those are probably some of my favorites.
To answer this question, you mean how does one get a Brave and the Boys interview? Because I bought tickets to Heroes Con before looking into. Yeah, until I looked at. Yeah, I'm still going to go. We were going to go with my wife, but now I think I'm going to go by myself so I can share a hotel with Bunk. Yeah.
Very
so
cool.
because I'm near, I could go to San Diego Comic-Con, but to me, like, I don't have as much of an interest because it seems so like Hollywood. And from the way everyone's described Heroes Con, it seems like one of the last bastions for like truly comic books, you know?
Yeah, no, Heroes is like, they call it the last great comic convention. But yeah, it's the only con I've ever been to. This year I'm going to New York Comic Con as well. So that won't be the case anymore. But I love Heroes, like just being able, because it's just about comics. There's no pop culture stuff. There's no wrestlers or like, I don't know, voice actors. It's just comics pros, and it's like millions of them. So I love it. Oh, but how do you get an interview at Heroes Con? I would have to know what you look like besides the picture of Val Zod. That way, like, I recognize you when you walk up to me.
Do they sell shirts with a Valzad on it? Because what if he just runs around Heroes Con with a Valzad shirt?
If he wears a shirt that says "Hey BJ Kicks, I'm Valzad," I'd be like, "Oh, that's you. Got it."
Okay, now I'm gonna go to a Heroes Con in that shirt.
Nah, in all seriousness, all you gotta do is just hit me up. You can email me. I'm bj@comicsaredope.com. If you're in the Discord, just hit me up in the Discord. That's probably quickest way to contact me at this point. And we'll try to make something happen. I try to meet up with anyone who watches my videos and cares enough to be like, hey, I would like to see you at this con, as opposed to Chris Claremont or Ann Nesenti or whoever,
Yeah. I've never been, but I hear Baltimore Comic Con is comic book focused, wants to go this year.
I've heard the same. I've heard really good things about Baltimore.
Yeah, everyone go join the Comics Are Dope Discord.
And Heroes Con is on East Coast. It's in Charlotte, North Carolina. And Harleen was amazing and does need. I feel like I shouted out Harleen recently. I put it in my best one and done stories
Nice.
During the 25 days of comics.
Oh yeah, how is that like having to like pump out like? Okay, that's a good question. How did it feel like? How did you keep up good quality being like such a quantity focused thing? And then like, how did you come up with ideas? Did you have them pre-planned ahead of time, or was it like 4 days in you were like, okay, here's 2 ideas, I'll do them back to back, or like was it like a rush?
Yeah, no, I wrote out. I do this thing where I kind of just brain dump, right? Like I'll use either for me, pen and paper still works best. But I'll just write out as many ideas as I can, and then when I have a free block when I can record, it just comes down to, okay, what can I do quickly, or what am I prepared to do, right? Like something like I don't know, the best places to buy comics, that requires me to actually like outline that video, kind of rehearse what I'm going to say a little bit. Something like, I don't know.
You did Up in the Sky, which was fun because that one you can just talk about the comic.
Yeah, no, Up in the Sky, I did specifically because I think you and Jess were arguing about it. And I was like, wait, I have that book. I should read it.
Yeah.
And so I read it one afternoon, and then I just made the video about it. But yeah, so some of the videos were pre-planned. Others were like super impulse decisions. Like, all right, I got 45 minutes. I need to record something right now. What are my favorite Batman stories, or favorite cover last week? I was reorganizing my collection at the same time, so we got a lot of videos, kind of like retrospective, like, oh, here are the purchases I regret the most, or here are some of my favorite gifts that I've received, just because everything was out and accessible.
Yeah.
But yeah, pumping out videos, I wouldn't do that in that format again. I don't recommend daily content unless you just have time like that. I work full time. I got a wife. I got 2 kids. I like to see my wife and 2 kids. Some people are in different situations. So it's like, I don't want to like spend my entire life in front of the computer screen, and doing daily content is just a great way to guarantee you're going to spend your entire life in front of a computer screen.
I actually read Planetary 2 weeks ago. At my Discord, we're doing a book club for Planetary, and I didn't think I was going to like it because I didn't like The Authority, and I know they take place in the same world. And Planetary was phenomenal. It was like a love letter to everything 1950s comics and above. Like everything was like an homage to a real comic book character, or like a type of comic that used to come out, and it was just such a love letter. Versus Authority was like, oh, what if superheroes sucked in the real world? It's like we've seen that so many times where it's like, yeah, that was groundbreaking at the time, but I also want to read characters that they aren't shitty people, That's
a fair thing to want, I think.
Like, I'm so over like, what if Superman was evil? Like, I feel like I've read that story like so many times.
Yeah.
What are some things you've learned along your journey as a creator? Like any YouTube tips that you can pass off? I will say that something that your content did was your thumbnails made me want to get better at thumbnails, to the point where I downloaded Photoshop to try to make better thumbnails. So your thumbnails were inspiration on how to get better at thumbnails. And it's crazy how my results changed after learning Photoshop.
Man, I appreciate that. I learned Photoshop way back in the day because I was a rapper and all the local rappers had these really cool MySpace page layouts.
Mm.
And I wanted to learn how to make my own cool MySpace page layout. And I've been designing things in Photoshop ever since. But thank you first. Thank you.
Oh,
for
you're
that.
welcome.
I appreciate the compliment on the thumbnails. Tips for content creators. Make content that you want to see because for a very long time you'll be the only one seeing it, right? So make content that you like, and that's really it. Like, have fun doing it. I think for YouTube specifically, or for comics YouTube, I think a lot of people get into it because they think, well, if I'll get big enough, I'll get some free books, or maybe YouTube will pay me a bunch of money.
YouTube gives pennies.
Yeah, like it's like neither of those things are true.
Yeah.
So the only reason to do this is because you enjoy doing it.
Mm.
And that sort of enjoyment, that satisfaction will kind of carry you through until the point where you're at least making a little bit of money, right? Like my goal with YouTube is pretty much just, hey, if I can pay for all the comics I bought this month with a YouTube check, that's amazing. I'm not expecting YouTube's going to pay my bills.
Yeah.
There was a point where I was going for that. And there are ways you can achieve it. Like you can go out and, fish for sponsors, and you can rack up 1 million affiliate codes. Like there's a lot of different ways that you can sort of approach it. But you will burn yourself out trying to make money if that's the entirety of your goal. I just say, hey, make fun content, make the best quality content that you can make. And then what happens from it is what happens. You control the inputs. You don't control what you get out of it, though.
How long were you reading comics before you started your channel? Was that always the plan, or did you read comics for a while and then think, hey, I like making content, I want to start making like comic book channel content?
Yeah, no, I was a YouTuber before I was a comic fan. Like I was a YouTuber before I read my first comic. I've been on YouTube since 2016, maybe 2017. I was doing like music marketing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The idea to start the channel came because I just wanted to have like a more creative outlet, because my other channel was so business oriented and there was a lot of pressure on that channel to make me money. And I just wanted to do something to like kind of, hey, well, if I'm already in front of a camera, right?
Yeah.
Then it's not a big deal to talk about the business stuff because I already had fun talking about comics. So the idea really came from that. Like I was kind of disenchanted with the other channel, but also found out my wife was pregnant, and I was like, well, I got 9 months. If I can get this channel monetized in the next 9 months, then I don't have to like lose my comic hobby, because I was paying for comics out of my regular household funds at that point. So
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to buy diapers and like food and stuff like that for a baby. I won't be able to buy comics unless I find some more money somewhere. So that's where the idea to start the channel came from.
Nice, man. What year was that when you started the channel? Was that
2020? I started November.
Oh wow, that was a good year to start a comic book YouTube channel, I feel like.
Absolutely. And then I was doing like, daily content at one point in 2021. So I sort of rode that pandemic wave of, subscribers and stuff like that. The growth has slowed down considerably. Like at one point, I was getting like 700 to 1,000 subscribers in a month.
Wow.
Now, I think that number is like somewhere around 400 because I did the daily videos in December. But it's slowly tapering. Like my norm is like 10 to 12 subscribers a day.
I feel like it was the pandemic was a huge thing, but also YouTube pushing shorts also like took away them pushing like more long form content. But definitely the pandemic and people going back to the real world.
Yeah.
I do it for my company. I do like YouTube stuff for them, and we got like 5 million less impressions this year than last year. And it's just like, that just means we were shown to so much less people. Like you can't do much if you're not going to,
and you can't control who you're shown to. That's all you see. So,
yep. So that's the thing is like, I think what I learned was like, I got into this weird rut of like when I first joined up with OPB and trying to do overviews, I was trying to be like other YouTubers that I watched because I thought there was like a blueprint to follow. And I wasn't like having fun with like the videos that I was doing. Like for me, like I'm not the biggest fan of overview videos where you're kind of just flipping through the book because like I personally wouldn't enjoy watching that kind of video. So like when you're not having fun and you're not excited, people can sense that through the video, you know?
Yeah.
So once I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do overviews on their channel and make the content that I want to make on my channel. Like I started having a lot more fun with it.
Yeah. My overviews sucked because, you know, the whole thing with my channel is I'm new. Like everything I'm buying, I'm experiencing for the first time. So if I'm doing an overview on an omnibus, 9 times out of 10, I haven't read the story. And so it would just be like, yeah, man, I don't want to spoil anything for myself. So I'm going to skip a bunch of pages. I don't know anything about this book. But hey, you know, one time I saw Batman on a billboard outside when I was a kid. That was really cool. You guys ever see billboards? And while I'm just flipping through pages, but people were watching it. People liked that kind of stuff. But for me, my heart wasn't in that type of content. Like I love comics. I love sharing them with people. But that wasn't it. The no knowledge overviews sucked.
I think the one overview of yours I watched, I'm not sure if you had read the book or not, but I watched your Paul Dini overview when I was first getting started to see what overviews were like, because I wasn't really even sure like what the difference was between a review or an overview. And I was like, interesting. But I think once I decided I wasn't going to try to put them on both channels and just, you know, make the videos that I wanted to make on my channel, I started having a lot more fun with it, you know, because you have to be like, it's hard to make content that you wouldn't watch yourself, you know, like you want to make content that you would watch. Cause like you said, you'll be the only one watching it for a long time.
Yeah. You know, now we've gotten to a point where a lot of the stuff that's coming out in collected editions is stuff that I actually read in singles. So I don't mind doing overviews for that type of stuff. Like it's fun to say, hey, this book is great. Here's why it's great. And let me flip through the art while I tell you that about it, you know?
Yeah. Like I did one that I really enjoyed on Absolute Court of Owls because I've read that story so many times that I was able to be like, let me show you 3 specific parts in the video that I think sell the book without spoiling the book. And that to me, like having a roadmap versus feeling like I was wandering aimlessly through the book, you know, like having an idea of, I'm going to show you. It's like trying to give a tour when you've never been to the city, you know, versus like living in the city and being like, I'm going to show you the 3 coolest spots you got to visit, you know?
Yeah, no, I'll put it a different way, right? Like content creation is really storytelling, right? And to tell a story, you got to know where you're going. You need a great beginning, middle, and end. So if you know the material, you can be like, oh, here's 3 reasons to buy this book, like you just said, right? And it just does way better because you know where you're taking it before you get there. Jade says, I've done plenty of band interviews where my heart definitely wasn't in it, but I try taking something away from each interaction, use it as a learning experience for the next one. Yeah, I used to interview a bunch of like music industry professionals on my other podcast, which is still up. It's the what is it called? Music Business Dreams podcast.
I feel like James was going to link it before you even remembered the name.
It probably would have. But you know what ruined that for me was, one, the pandemic, but also I scheduled so many podcast interviews that people just like didn't show up for. And I'm like, yo, like this is my Saturday morning that I could have spent with my kids, and you just like flaked. Like, so I stopped doing interviews in the music industry, but I might bring it back at some point.
This is a harder question for me to answer because I don't really read too much ongoing. The only thing I catch up on is like I'll read like, so Nightwing, when the standard size hardcovers come out, I'll do that. I love that. I feel like DC was in a good place and then they did Night Terrors and I'm like, well, I feel like that just broke momentum for a little bit. So I'm waiting for the standard size hardcovers to come out. I think Night Terrors just came out today. Or this week. But Nightwing, I want to read like, so there's like the Zdarsky Batman. I read volume 2 when that came out in standard size hardcover. I heard they did like another giant Batwoman Batman war. So I don't know too much about that. So I'm Nightwing and Batman probably, which sounds basic, but I just don't read a lot of, you know, current stuff.
Yeah. The Gotham War.
World's Finest. I'm sorry. World's Finest is my favorite ongoing that I've read.
Yeah, I bought 18 issues of World's Finest. I read 7 of them, and I was like, you know what? I should stop. Actually, I bought 19 issues of World's Finest. I didn't drop it until issue 20. But my favorite ongoings right now, Cody Ziegler is writing Miles Morales right now. It keeps
Nice.
getting interrupted for like random events, but it's
Hey, that's
really
the worst. I get such fatigue from that.
good. Yeah, but it's really good. Ben Percy's Wolverine and his X-Force are both still really good. They're both about to end, but those were good. I really, surprisingly, I like Jeremy Adams' Green Lantern. It's not surprising because I really love Jeremy Adams on Flash. I'm just not a big Hal Jordan fan, but I'm enjoying Green Lantern right now. I'm also enjoying Green Lantern War Journal by Philip Kennedy Johnson, who did the War World saga.
Which should not have been a compendium. I feel like that should have been an omni, but hey, I got the compendium.
If they made it an omnibus, they would have had to do like Superman by Philip Kennedy Johnson, and at that point, they've got to include the future state stuff. Well, they might have put that in the compendium though. The future state War World stuff might be in there, but then you got to like finish out the Action Comics run, like so those 7-8 issues after he comes back from War World.
Let's see. Superman, the World Saga collects Action Comics 1030 to 46, Action Comics 22 Annual 1, Batman Superman Authority Special, World Apocalypse, Future State Superman, and World of War 1 and 2, Future State Superman House of L, and Action Comics 2021 Annual 1.
So that's everything. That sounds like that's everything except. Let me look it up on Penguin because I didn't remember everything you said.
The reason I was going to read it, and then everyone was like, you have to read Superman and the Authority, which isn't very good, but it sets everything up. And I'm like, why are you going to tell me it's not good, but I need it, you know? Because now I don't want to buy it, but I also like can't read this until that, you know? But that's encyclopedic reading, like you said.
Yeah, I didn't read Superman and the Authority, and I feel just fine. Although I did buy it. So Phil Kennedy Johnson's Action Comics starts at like 1025. So you don't get like that first little bit where he's like having these really touching moments with John. And then, but yeah, 1030 to 1046. No, you would need to add like 10 issues to this book to make the complete Philip Kennedy Johnson Superman omnibus, which I think they should, honestly.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's not a dumb question. I will show you right now. So it depends. I'm gonna break into this box because this kind of messes up what I'm gonna say. So traditionally, no matter how DC spells it, because they'll spell it different ways, their compendium was that a good joke? You like that? I saw you smile for that. Yeah, it's gonna be standard size, paperback, and collect a good chunk of stuff. So it's a good story. I used to have the Invincible ones until they came out with hardcover versions. An omnibus is oversized. So if you look at here, it's got a larger trim size. So the artwork is oversized and it's hardcover. But then you throw out everything I just said and you have this compendium, which is oversized and hardcover. So it can be whatever they want it to be. But traditionally, when we say compendium, we mean this, which in my mind, compendiums are phenomenal if you are on a collecting budget. So for me, I wanted to read Sweet Tooth before the Netflix show, and I could get the whole story for like $30 instead of spending multiple deluxe editions or, you know, so compendiums, as much as I'm a hardcover snob now, I'm just happy that DC's producing things now, you know, because for a while it was like, it seemed bleak, their collected editions department.
Yeah, honestly, I pretty much read everything digitally. Like, even when I buy it, like, I buy it because I want to own it. I want to have it in the library. But I read like 90% of my stuff on the iPad. The only exception is like DC stuff, right? Because I don't have the Ultra subscription anymore. So I have to read my DC stuff physically. And the indie stuff too. But yeah.
I feel like, because you know how I feel like what I would do if I was you is, you know how like DC Ultra comes out 3 months later. Do you think you could start up a YouTube series for like this new issues you're reading and sneak in the DC Ultra issues that just came out digitally? Or do you think people would like not be cool with that?
Nah, like, so DC Infinite is 6 months behind. Like if you don't get the
Yeah,
ultra
yeah, yeah.
tier, the ultra tier is
Oh, it's
only
30
1
days,
month
right?
behind.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so there were plenty of times where I was doing the what I'm getting video, and instead of releasing it on Monday, I released it on Tuesday because I could just read the last issue real quick that I forgot to get to and then actually be informed before I did the video. So I think it's great if you really like staying current on single issues, then DC Ultra is a great value.
So I have it and I don't read the new issues, even though I should. I tell myself I'm going to. I have it because they lock omnibuses and collected editions behind that tier. So for me, like I like to download what I'm reading. That way I can go into airplane mode because nothing's more distracting than like as I'm trying to read a book, I get all these notifications for 16 different apps and stuff. So I like to download it and that, yeah. So you feel me? So like for instance, today I wanted to read Flash Rebirth, not the Rebirth run, but Jeff Johns' Flash Rebirth, right? So I grabbed my omnibus of it and it had a table of contents, but then it had no numbers on the pages. So I was like, am I just gonna flip randomly and try to find it? And I'm like, you know what? It'd be faster if I just read it digitally on the iPad. And that's what I did. What gets me hard is when I switch back and forth. Like sometimes my wife will be like, hey, do you want to come downstairs and read? So I'll take the iPad and I'll try to find.
What are we talking about right now?
Reading digitally on the iPad. Oh, I got it. But yeah, I'll try to find where I try to leave off on the hardcover and find my place digitally to read downstairs.
Got you. Yeah, no, I was reading the Jeff Johns Green Lantern omnibus. I was reading that on DC Ultra before my subscription lapsed, and I was like, dang, I can't read the omnibus anymore. I gotta like actually go back and read the single issues, which is a pain. If you're trying to read anything in a particular reading order, that's the one knock I have against like all of those apps. Because like even in Marvel Unlimited, they will give you there's a reading order, like it's like a comic playlist, is how you could put it, right? You'll get to the end of an issue, and no matter what, it just takes you to the next issue of that series, even if it's not the next issue in the reading order.
Oh, okay.
So that's one gripe I have about digital comics, but it's fine.
They're going to have me do the overview of 0 Hour this month, and I'm not the biggest fan of the 0 Hour, but I feel like I'm just known for the crises. So my friend who I make videos with, I'm like, you have to read 0 Hour and help me with this video because I'm not rereading 0 Hour. So he's using my DC Ultra account and he goes to the 0 Hour omnibus and it just has 0 Hour 6 through 0. And I'm like, so I send him a picture of my table of contents and I go, good luck, man, trying to find all the random like side issues that go into it.
Yeah. No, that's the one thing, the one knock I have against reading digitally for someone who like really, because if you're reading stuff digitally, you probably are reading the older material. And at that point, like the omnibus just has the best reading order. So.
Ooh, I wish my iPad had an OLED screen. What is like take gas station pills? Yeah, it's like it'd be like Rhino from Spider-Man fighting the Hulk. They don't tell you what the pill means. I don't know what that. I don't take gas station pills. I drink energy drinks though, too much. Do you have like okay? So you say that you like to have like someone walks into your office or your library and they see you have the definitive run for each character. What are some of your definitive runs for characters besides Batman? Like, say you were to have a definitive Superman or Green Lantern. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, so I've got volume 1 and 2 of Green Lantern by Jeff Johns. I don't have volume 3, and I'm not buying Blackest Night,
or Whitest Night or Green Lantern Corps. Sorry, Brightest Day. Oh my God, don't clip that. That's gonna sound so out of context.
Whitest Night is amazing, but
that should be the name of my live stream.
Right. I have what do I have? I'm looking at Brubaker Captain America on the shelf.
Nice.
I got Hickman's Fantastic Four and Hickman's Avengers.
Do your spines match up? Because I had to get custom dust jackets for it because my A's didn't line up.
They don't, but I don't care.
Okay. Because your brain's not broken like mine.
The only spines that really bother me, the Wolverine spines bother me.
It looks like he's tripping. Like it's like literally looks like he's running and then he trips. Like
that's funny. I think it just depends on which DM variant you got. What's up, Panda?
How's it going, man?
But yeah, like I've got House of X, I've got Claremont's X-Men like through Volume 5, which I'm mad about. I need to sell Volume 5. Does somebody want Uncanny X-Men Volume 5? I'll sell it for $60. I need to just list it on my website. By the way, comicsaredope.com. I write about comics occasionally. Most recent piece I wrote was about DC Power and Marvel Voices for Black History Month. I wrote that yesterday. But
James, link it in the comments down below.
But if you go to the shop on comicsaredope.com, not only will you find really cool Comics Are Dope merchandise, you'll also find books that I'm selling out of my collection. And everybody that buys a book from my collection gets a BJ Kicks bookmark, which I'm down to like the last 10 of those. Once those are gone, I'll have to like design a new Comics Are Dope bookmark to give away for like prizes and stuff.
You have a shop? Why don't I have a shop of mine? That's so cool. Oh, you have that DC hat or the CD hat that you showed us. Remember that one?
Yep, the Distinguished Competition hat. My favorite thing that I've designed is the Disapproved logo, which is now the logo for my podcast.
I don't think I've seen that, but you can send me a message of what that logo looks like because I want to see it.
Okay. It's just the Comics Code Authority stamp.
Oh, I have seen that. I have seen that. Yep. Dude, I gotta get one of your shirts. I like collecting YouTuber shirts.
I would collect YouTuber shirts if I had more money. I should do that though. I should like show support. Like I famously don't own any Comics Are Dope merchandise. I have a mug.
Because it's probably all print to order, right? Like it's not like we get it for free.
Right. Yo, thank you, AS, for buying the Disapproved shirt. I really appreciate that.
And then when we got free t-shirts, they got us like the most ridiculous V-neck I'd ever seen in my life. Friggin' Mitch screwed us on that, dude. It goes down to my belly button.
Yeah, V-necks are not flattering on me. So I do wear that shirt sometimes though, but it's usually like under a hoodie. Yeah. So I got some definitive runs, but it's not even, my goal isn't to just have the definitive run on each character, but it's really like, I want you to, like, no matter what book you grab, I want to be able to say, okay, no, this book is a banger and here's why. Yeah. So I still need to buy Immortal Hulk. That is probably my favorite modern comic that I've read, period.
I think it's in this box. Let me see.
I don't care.
Hold on. It's even funnier because it's in there somewhere. I got 2 copies of it, one for me and one Jordan, but
nice. Yeah, I need a copy of that. That's like the one book that I'm like, I gotta have that in my collection for like if somebody asked about Hulk, like I need that.
The only Hulk I've read is World War Hulk. So do you need to know anything before not? Do you need to Planet Hulk was the only Hulk I've read. Do you need to know anything before Immortal Hulk, or can you just jump in?
You can pretty much just jump in. Like I think Immortal Hulk, you're enhanced if you've read like particularly the Peter David run. But I didn't read that.
That had too many volumes for me. It stresses me out.
Like, it's worse than Claremont X-Men.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you can go into Immortal Hulk completely blind, but along the way they introduce mythos from Hulk iterations past. Even Planet Hulk makes a cameo in that book. And so it's just the perfect Hulk story for people that have never read a Hulk story.
Nice, man. Well, this is fun. You said you had about an hour. Do we need to wrap this up so you can go see your family?
No, they're asleep. I'm good.
Oh, cool.
Thursday nights, I'm good.
To answer your question, Coburn, I don't read manga. It stresses me out having to read backwards, and I like color in my books. Like even Usagi's a stretch for me because I wish there was color, but I like Usagi.
I have the same issue with manga, actually.
We finally agree on something. That's where we bond. So is it the reading backwards or the color?
It's mostly the color.
Yeah.
I don't do as well with black. I have problems with like my perception if a comic isn't colored. Like it takes me a minute to process what's on the page. I don't know if I'm just old or what, but that's my issue with black and white comics.
I kind of like it when it's a book like this where it's like a muted color palette. Like I can do that.
Yeah. I like
Like
those.
something like this is cool, but I need something. The black and white to me is just like, I don't know. It's less engaging. I think I'm too ADHD for it. Like I get like it's not enough stimuli for me.
Yeah, it's ironic though, because I've come to really appreciate like just line work. Like every now and then they'll do like a noir edition or stuff like that. And I like those. Like I like those to look at, to appreciate the art, but I'm not trying to digest the story in that format.
I think if the person, like if it was like a Daniel Warren Johnson, I could do a like a noir version or something because that is so engaging and kinetic, you know. And I got close on Hush Noir because the deluxe edition wasn't in print. The Absolute wasn't in print. They came out with a deluxe edition and it was standard size. So to me, that was like I got close to that being how I collected Hush. But I mean, like Jim Lee, it's just gorgeous.
They had Watchmen Noir at an Ollie's that I went to, and I didn't buy it. I probably should have bought it. This is my only noir book. The rest of them are the Unwrapped, which is just pencils. But Tim Sale with just black and whites, like,
yeah,
it's really cool.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
See, like how the line work comes together. But again, like there's something about, I don't know why it doesn't work for me. But like if I'm actually trying to read this book,
yeah, the colors are so important to that story though. Like you look at that in the bath and you can't even see what the blood is. You know, you don't even.
Yeah, I think the problem is that like without color, the depth is off.
Yeah,
everything appears a lot flatter. So that even this is a great perspective shot. The guy walking down the driveway, but it's like, so my eyes, there's leading lines there.
Yeah,
there's not always like great leading lines to direct your eyes. Like stuff just looks flat a lot of times.
I've read the Watchmen Noir edition, and to be honest, if I were to buy one, I would pick the annotated Watchmen because you get it in noir and you get the all the interesting facts about the Watchmen book that you would know about.
Yeah,
I'm a sucker for pencils. I love Long Halloween Noir, but Death of the Family Unwrapped is gorgeous. I don't think I own a noir edition of anything.
Yeah, I don't have that one.
I have Death of the Family in a deluxe edition. I was happy for that.
Okay, so.
Dude, I didn't realize those were shoes. I don't know why, but the one at the top, I thought that was the Court of Owls mask. Like in the yeah, I couldn't. Yeah, or like the ones that are face backwards. I don't know why.
No, those are sneakers. Those are Jordans. But I just went over there and it's ironic that all of my Batman Unwrapped editions are still sealed. This is the David Finch Dark Knight Unwrapped. And yeah, I love seeing these raw pencils. Like this, I can look at all day. But the noir,
I think I prefer that over noir because like it seems more alive, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, something about the pencils like does really well. My man Buckmaster B is here. I guess that's everybody's man.
I know, right? He's the backbone of the comic book YouTube community.
I feel like James has that title.
I feel like James. Okay, Bunk is the heart and James is the brain. I feel like if the living organism that is comic book YouTube.
The heart and the brain, the head and the fist. Man, this is beautiful. All right, let me stop.
He's like, actually, I'm gonna leave the live stream and just read.
Yeah, I keep taking out books. I took out the Invincible, and this is my problem, both physically and digitally. Like, I will just like start a book because somebody mentioned it, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds good." Like, and then I'm just opening it, and now I'm reading Invincible. Like, reading Invincible was not on my plan for this month, but now I'm 30 issues in, so here we are.
It is hard. I think that's the one thing is like when you have a plan for a video and you're like, okay, I got to read this and this for the video. And then you try to sneak in your own personal reading, but you also don't want to overdo reading for the channel because then I get burnt out and I feel like I'm not reading for myself. So it is a weird balance that I got to do. I told Dennis I prefer his pencils over his inks and he was confused. He then was like, but what if it's Bill that's doing the inking?
Bill Sienkiewicz inking Dennis Cowan is like the best. Like, I think I put Cowan and Sienkiewicz over Jim Lee and Scott Williams for like the best penciler inker duo in comics. Like, it's just special.
I jokingly told Bunk one time, I'm like, I have to read the question and the art looks old, and he's never let me forget that. So every time, and I read the question and I loved it. I thought the art was amazing and it was phenomenal. But like I said it as a joke, and he's like never let me forget that. And when, he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna meet him." I'm like, "And I'm gonna tell him that you think his art looks old." Yeah, Bunk hates me. I don't know why he's gonna leave the live stream. No, I love it. I just got volume 2 today.
I need to buy volume 2. I will buy that specifically because I'm a Dennis Cowan fan. But yeah, again, spending $100 on books is not easy to do.
Yeah,
People are doing all this in today's economy. I need to get on somebody's advanced review list, but that's gonna take a minute. I need like another 100,000 followers before I can get that.
I read the question and loved it. There we go. That's a better quote to remember.
Put that on the cover.
That should be the shirt. It says, it's both of my quotes. The art looks old. And then below it, I read the question and loved it.
Put the art looks old on the back.
Okay. So we were talking. I started reading the question, and this was like months ago. And I stopped reading it like right away. And then I was talking to Bunk about it, and he goes, "Oh yeah, I'm going to say a spoiler, but it's issue 1 and you've read it. The question dies." And I'm like, "What?" I hadn't even got to that part in the book when I stopped reading. So when I restarted, I got my bookmark on like page 5.
Yeah. So, okay. So that's a great lead into my next question, right? So
Yeah.
How many first dates do you have with comics? Like, there are so many books that I have read the first issue of and nothing more, right? Like, for a long time, I had read issue 1 of Invincible. I've read issue 1 of Invincible at least 5 times before I read number 2.
The one that got me the most, and I think for me, I would have to say like my first date would be the first arc or the first trade paperback of something, because everything I read is collected. I can't tell you how many times I've read the first 1 or 2 trades of Saga, because I would start it and then I would forget it, and I would restart it and then I would forget it, and I would start it and forget it. I feel like I can't ever read Saga again because of how many times I've read the first trade. When I was trying to get into comics,
was in the chat.
Oh, who is it?
I'm just messing.
Oh,
Omar will watch this later. It'll be great.
And also I tried to get into comics one time, so I bought like Rebirth Batman trades 1 and 2. And then I guess I forgot, and a few months later I'm like, I'm gonna get back into comics. I'm gonna read Batman's 1 and 2 trade. I'm gonna buy them, and then I'm gonna like buy the single issues from where they left off. And I get home and realize I already had the trade paperbacks. So Batman Rebirth and Saga were the ones I've redone the first ones again. AS, thank you so much for watching.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you. And again, thanks for supporting the merchandise. That's really cool. Because I think if you bought a shirt, that makes you one of like 5 people that have purchased anything. So that's really cool.
The first one for the Sandman. Oh, I feel like that makes sense, because Sandman kind of takes a little while to get started with the overarching plot. I feel like it definitely gets better after the first like deluxe edition, in my mind.
Yeah. I have this thing where like I won't start a book unless I feel like I can finish it like relatively quickly. So there's a lot of books like, you know, I just picked up
one of my most hyped up for the year,
Superman by Jeff Johns. I'm excited about that. The only Jeff Johns Superman story I've read is Brainiac. I own the Secret Origin Deluxe.
Last Son is also pretty good, but that's not Gary Frank.
I have Last Son too.
When I read Last Son in December, and I've had the standard size hardcover of Last Son since I was in high school, and I've never read it. And I open it up, and a pair of 3D glasses fall out. I didn't even know it was 3D, but it was a ride.
Yeah, no, I'm excited about that because I really liked Superman Brainiac, and
that's why Bunk's the heart. Look at that. I purchased shirts from both hosts here.
Yeah, man. Dennis Cowan saw a Comics Are Dope shirt on Bunk before he saw one on me.
It's a 700 absolute. Does that mean 700 pages?
Yes. which is going to be huge and heavy. That's an omnibus sized absolute.
How many pages is, because this is my largest absolute, I think. This is an Omni right here. But people talk about how absolutes feel unwieldy to read, but I don't read anywhere other than my desk. So to me, it doesn't matter what I'm reading, I just lay the book down.
Yeah, I read at my desk too. Well, sometimes I'll read like on the couch or something, but I don't like read like, I don't know where people are reading where they complain about like,
yeah,
never
some
reading
people sit in a chair and put it in their lap, and that to me feels so strange. Where do you have a chair that's not in front of a table? You know, I get maybe like a reading chair, I guess, or like I guess those exist, but
Yeah.
I read at a desk. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I've read like on like, you know, like what's, like, I think it's just called a chair, like the little plush chair.
An ottoman or something.
No, like, you know, like you like sit like in a chair like in your living room, but it's not.
Yeah.
Standalone
Like
chair.
not a love chair. Yeah, you're right. It's just called a chair.
I think it's called a chair.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like I've sat in those and read before. It's comfortable. I like sitting in recliners too. I like putting my feet up. So,
but to me, I just at that point I'd grab the iPad. Like, I'm not gonna take my absolute on a plane, or I'm not gonna take when I was going into the office. I'm not gonna take that into the office. Like, it just makes so much more sense to use an iPad for that, you know?
And Boo says, hey, what the F is a love chair? A love seat. I think
love seat, yeah. Any chair can be a love chair with the right attitude.
Right attitude.
I also don't like how this sounds. I just slap a pillow under it, like when I'm in a bed or on the couch.
I read in silence. Music distracts me. I have been such a music nerd for such a long time. Like, I will get lost in a beat and forget that I'm reading, and then I'm like, oh snap, I got to read this page again.
The only ones I've done, or if it was themed, so when I did Birthright and Secret Origins, I did the Man of Steel soundtrack, and that was cinematic. And then when I read Parker by Darwin Cook, I found some playlists that said it's like the 1920s and you're a private eye soundtrack on Spotify. So that was fun.
Sometimes I can get away with like film scores, but I can't do anything with like
lyrics,
beat and lyrics.
If you watch my latest haul video, I bought all of them and I've never read a Rick Remender Deluxe. So I'm gonna read Fear Agent. That's the first one I'm gonna read.
I thought about buying Black Science because In Stock Trades.
Oh my god! Right on the red tag sale.
I don't know if they still do, but I'm kind of over buying books sight unseen. So unless somebody like super recommends a book, I'm just not buying it unless I've read some of it before.
I got someone recommended. I don't know what it is. Once in Future I just bought that sight unseen, but I've been really into Dan Moore lately. I feel like Dan Moore is like, people talk about how good The World's Finest stuff is with Mark Waid, but Dan Moore is such a huge part of that. So,
he's really good.
I give a synopsis of. I can speak. Okay, it's been a long day, longer for you, but Fear Agent looked cool to me. And Deadly Class and Low seemed cool to me, but I have no frame of reference other than people baited me into it.
It looks like they ran out of Black Science on In Stock Trade, except Volume 2.
Once the Future is good. I got the deluxe slipcase from some dude on Whatnot that sells Legos who knew nothing about comic books. He was selling like out of print absolutes, and I asked if I could see the eye, and he goes, "I don't know what that is, man. I sell Legos." So I got a stupid good deal on that one.
I bought Once in Future specifically because of the hype of the Something is Killing the Children slipcase. For those too young to remember, that book sold out like super quick because Boom, the FOC for the book was like the week of the announcement or something crazy. Or like they had already set the print run before the FOC. So like every shop and online store that ordered the Something is Killing the Children slipcase edition got allocated. And so
didn't they start selling it like separately though?
They legit like just printed a bunch of slipcases to sell separately from the book. Like that was a thing that happened. And so when the Once in Future box set came out or slipcase came out, it was a very similar deal. And I just happened to walk into my LCS like the day it released, and they had one copy, so I bought it.
It
And
looks super sick though.
yeah, and I bought it specifically because I love that foil on the crown.
I was a little bummed. So my wife's favorite comic is Something Is Killing the Children. And I was so proud when she asked if she could get something better than the trade paperbacks. I was like, she's one of us. But then there's like no difference between the deluxe and the slipcase deluxe. Like there's not like any different extras or anything. So that felt a little lackluster to me.
I am fairly certain with Something's Killing the Children, I bought the deluxe and the slipcase separately. I think JP might have just sent me a slipcase. I don't think I bought them. I can look and tell you because my slipcase is over here.
Why do I feel like the deluxe and the slipcase are going to be wrapped separately because they're unwrapped? Because they're not unwrapped?
No, that was my test. Like, okay, if it's still sealed, that means I bought it together. No, I got them separately.
That's cool though. Because she was like, when I found out there was no difference, she was like, I guess I don't need the slipcase. And then I was like, wait, she let me get every absolute ever, so I should probably
just buy her the slipcase.
Pony up and get her the slipcase, you know?
You absolutely should.
Deluxe Once and Future. So is that Deluxe Once and Future? Is that different than this, or is that Volume 2, or
Deluxe Once and Future? No, that's that. Oh yeah, no, all of those are getting Volume 2s this year.
Yeah. I heard Something Is Killing Children is going to have this weird gap in the middle, probably because they're coming out with a House of Slaughter Deluxe. So there is going to be a weird gap in between Deluxe 1 and 2 that I hope they fill eventually. Maybe someone in the comments could explain that more than I know. I'm not a reader with music in the background, except for, I'm guessing that was a few Breaker. I'm guessing Brubaker gets Miles Davis.
Yeah, Brubaker and Phillips as a team. We call them Foo Baker.
Nice. I just got. Was it Cruel Summer? Is that Bunk? What Brubaker book did I just get sent to me? I don't know what Vinland Saga is. Is that manga?
I've heard of it. I don't know what it is. Let's look it up.
I think the image, I remember the book looking like, it almost looked like someone did like, you know, when they do their own custom like omnis, it looked like that.
The epic action manga for fans of Game of Thrones, a story of war, royal intrigue, suspense, and revenge, set against the backdrop of the Viking invasions of England.
Oh, shouts out to my boy Jordan. I just got home from taking my girlfriend out. What's the topic for the live stream? I think it was an icebreaker interview at first, and now we're just chatting, you know. Jordan is my cameraman and co-founder of the channel and host of our secondary channel, Brave Boys Beyond. They asked what I wanted to do for my birthday this weekend, and I said, can we just film all weekend and make YouTube videos all weekend? So
that's a terrible birthday celebration. Go out, touch grass, breathe in some oxygen.
I'm becoming weird. It's being a remote worker is making me weird, man. Like, I don't want to leave my house ever. It rained a bunch in Southern California too, so I definitely didn't want to go out. But yesterday I woke up and I said, I need to go meet people. I'm going to go to the office. And I just went to the office and had human interaction, and it felt good.
For some reason, I thought you lived like in the Metro DC area.
No, I visited DC to meet, hang out with my best friends who live out there. One of them works at the Pentagon. And while I was there, I met up with Jess and got to enter the Batcave. But I'm from Southern California.
Nice. I heard it never rains in Southern California.
It doesn't, and the world doesn't know what to do. Like, our area doesn't know what to do when it rains, and it rained a ton.
Jeez.
Okay, so is Volume 2 of the deluxe slipcase out already, or am I good to save for that?
It's not out yet, but you can save for it.
Yeah. I mean, even if it was out, I could still save for it. JP literally used Something Killing the Children slipcase to ship a separate book I got from OPB, put the shipping label directly on the slipcase. Oof.
Yeah. That was a weird time when people were just buying slipcases. Like, remember when the Amazing Spider-Man omnibus came out and like Marvel had to reprint a bunch of dust jackets because they solicited a dust jacket that didn't come out?
Oh, wow.
The direct market variant for the Todd McFarlane and Michelini omnibus, it was supposed to be the ASM 300 with the actual 300 text all over it. And when they shipped it, it was just a big white
Oh my god.
Like just
What's up
blank.
with their slipcases, man? Or they're not they're dust jackets. Like the one that gets me bad is like the Brubaker, which I feel like Brubaker Daredevil could have been one Omni, but they split it into two, and I don't have the same logos on the spine, and that drives me bonkers.
Daredevil. That's the other character that I decided, nope, I'm not collecting Daredevil. I know every run is amazing, but no, I'm just gonna draw the line.
Yeah, because it never ends, does it?
Yeah, it's like, oh, where do I start reading Daredevil? Oh, well, first you got to read Frank Miller, then you got to read Bendis, then you got to read Brubaker, then you got to read Soul and Wade and Shadowland and Zdarsky, and I'm like, yo, like
I'm
that's a
telling
lot of-
myself I'm not going to get Shadowlands because I know it's terrible, but something tells me Shadowlands will be on my shelf next year. But I hope I don't get it. You know, I would like Marvel Knights though, just because like that would be cool. But that
I
hasn't
kind of
been in
want the
print.
Marvel Knights Omni too, and I'm mad because during the pandemic that book was going for like $30 on eBay all day, every day, and then all of a
I
sudden,
know Jordan really wants it because a Marvel Knights preview issue was his first comic book ever. So that'll be fun. If they come out with a deceased Omni, would you get it? Oh my god, my wife just texted me and said, "Why would you buy it if you don't want it?" I feel like she's hi
That's
wife.
That's a great question. Keep her.
Yeah.
But yeah, what was I gonna say? I don't remember. I think you asked a question, but
I was gonna say, because Deceased was your first collected edition, would you double dip and get the Omni when it comes out someday, or are you good on Deceased?
I would buy the Omni, but it kind of just depends. Oh, that was you, Valzad? Yeah, I definitely sold my Garth Ennis Punisher omnibus.
Oh, nice.
Was it Garth Ennis?
Hey, Jess, Katie says hi too. Shouts out to you guys. Your laundry show just got renewed. They've been watching Traders while doing laundry. So,
but I do like the format of the standard size hardcovers. Like I love the foil and the uniformity of the spines. So it really just depends on the build. Like I'd have to see an overview of the Deceased omnibus before I buy it.
Or maybe you'll do the overview. That'd be fun. The gap in Something That's Killing Children is the flashback section. Okay, so that'll probably be in the House of Slaughter Deluxe Edition. I haven't read past the first deluxe edition of Something Is Killing the Children. I should read it so me and my wife can talk about it.
I want to say I read the first 3 to 4 issues. And
is that
deluxe?
Is that too horror for you, or is that kind of on the line of what you enjoy?
It was fine. I can do like monsters and like kind of slasher stuff. For me, I don't do supernatural stuff. Like that's where I kind of draw the line. But I don't know. My line, it's a moving target. Sometimes I'm more sensitive than other times. Like I just read Round V's got a comic that came out this week called The One Hand. It's basically like a detective noir story, but also kind of cyberpunk because it's set like way in the future. It was a really good book, really good single issue. But there's this weird scene where like apparently like he is like with this like sex robot, and then there's like a problem with all the sex robots that are in this little compound. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm probably not picking up issue 2 of this book, even though I loved it. Like I really enjoyed that issue. That was just so random. And like, yeah, that's the line for me. I don't do sex in comics, and I don't do.
Okay, so the line is on one end of the spectrum, you have supernatural horror, which you don't do, and then sex robot compounds. That's like the line.
Well, I just don't do sex in comics in general.
Yeah.
Like, so.
I'm not a fan if it's gratuitous. Yeah.
I bought it digitally. I had a little bit of money on an Amazon gift card, so I paid like 50 cents so I could read that issue today.
Yes, Jordan, we're all hoping for that Deceased Omni. I feel like I'm gonna buy the box set because I've never read anything of Deceased. I read the first issue of Deceased when it first came out, and then said I want to wait till this is collected.
The box set is fine, but they're all paperbacks. Like I love my hardcovers. I wish the box set was just a box set of the hardcovers.
Yeah.
That's
my hope for the new box set DC just announced. So one of the books that I've never got was like Nightwing Year 1 or Robin Year 1 or Batgirl Year 1. And they're calling it a box set. They say deluxe edition on the spines, but there's no way for $60 they're giving you 3 deluxe editions, you know?
They're absolutely not. Those are paperbacks.
Yeah, I know. But I can dream, can I?
Present it. You can dream.
Someone's excited for that comic now. I guess you sold it to them.
I mean, quite honestly, like you don't. It seems like the typical, like, you know, oh, there's a love scene in this detective story, right?
Yeah.
And then like I'm spoiling the heck out of that. My point is, if you're coming for the sex robots, like that's really not the reason to buy the book. It was just a random thing that was in it that gave me pause, that I was like, I'm probably not gonna buy this again. But no, Jordan, I've not read Berserk for the same reason
that I haven't read Berserk, because our joke is in the most condescending way, because as I told you, I don't want to read about like shitty people doing shitty things. I want to read about, like, I want some hope or optimism in my books. He goes, it's okay, man. I love Berserk, but it's not for you. You wouldn't gain anything from it. And he says it in the most condescending way. And now that's our inside joke. Whenever one of us doesn't like another book, we just go, it's not for you. You wouldn't gain anything from it.
I bought Berserk Volume 1 because when I got into this, I was watching Gem Mint and I was watching Omar, and they
vastly different comic book creators.
they weren't all that different back then, which is crazy. I was watching them both because they both covered collected editions almost exclusively at the time.
Yeah.
But they both spoke so highly of Berserk every time they did a haul. Hey, here's my copy of Berserk for this month or whatever it was.
Yeah, you get it. It's just not for me. I get it's amazing, but when hearing him describe things that happen, I'm like, I have this like I don't know where I have this. Whenever he's on a live stream with me, I set like a 4-minute timer or like 3-minute timer, and that's his Berserk timer. Otherwise, because I'm not gonna listen to him, like, Berserk just sounds too much, man.
Yeah, you know? So before I opened mine, I was like, okay, should I sell this? Should I open it and read it? And I went and watched his overview of Volume 1, and I realized, I'm never reading this book. Like, I should have just watched this overview first. I don't know how. Well, I know how, because I got in the comics after Volume 1 came out.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, Berserk. I'm happy to not have. Plus, also, it makes me feel good that I don't have to have room for 17 volumes, giant deluxe edition volumes. But if you love Berserk, I'm so happy for you that you get to collect it in a beautiful format. Also, I got close. My bachelor party stream, when I had like everybody on YouTube on, they were telling me to buy it, and I was going to. And then I think it was Bunk that goes, well, if you buy Berserk, you really got to buy the first 2 because it doesn't get good till the second one. And I was like, okay, I'm out. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
And I'm happier for it.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Well, look, I'm going to wrap it up here.
Yeah, man. Do you have anything you want to plug?
What I got going on? The Comics Are Dope podcast. That's my newest venture. I'm interviewing comic creators every single week. My 3-part interview with Christopher Priest wraps up next Thursday. Volume 2 or Part 2 just came out today. Just go to comicsaredope.com. You'll find it there. On YouTube, I'm still doing the pull list every week. We got some comic reviews coming up. It's Black History Month, so I'm going to be reviewing for the first time. For whatever reason, I've never really done a Black History Month celebration type thing or spotlight on my channel. So this month I'm going to make it a point to review like more sort of Black stories, Black creators for Black History Month. I've never felt pressure to, because I kind of always cover Black stuff because I read it a lot. But anyway, that's what you can expect to see on the channel in February. But also, I'm trying to pump out my first my review of Watchmen #1. That's got to come out before this month ends as well. But yeah, coming up on the podcast, I've got a lot of people. We got who's next? After Priest is Nick Draper Ivy. Then we got Morgan Hampton, who wrote Cyborg last year. Greg Pak. I talked to Greg Pak 2 nights ago. That was a really fun conversation.
Did you read Hulk before it, or did you?
I read a little bit of Hulk. We talked about a lot of stuff though. It was fun. That's all I'll say for now. There's other guests. I've got guests booked through March, but yeah, I've been enjoying having conversations with creators about their work And I think that's what the next phase of the channel will be focused on a little bit more. That and then like just straight up reviews of classic material. So yeah, check all that out. You can find it all at comicsaredope.com or youtube.com/@comicsaredope. And yeah, I appreciate you inviting me on, man.
Oh, dude, thank you so much for doing this, man. I really appreciate you giving me the time. Like I said, like watching your content made my content better. It gave me something to aspire to improve on, things like your thumbnails or just like your camera quality and stuff like that. And like just your passion for it. Because like you, I feel like we're both newer readers. So I really did like your content, man. So it was awesome to watch. This is super fun to talk to you. And thank you so much, man. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Keep reading and stay brave.
Brave.